Well, introduce yourself to us. What's your name?
My name is Amand Nance. I'm a photographer based out of Carrollton, Alabama. I'm married to my husband, Brian. We actually just celebrated our 8-year anniversary on the 16th.
Woo.
Yeah. And we've got a little girl. She is 3. Her name is Tanner Kate. And she is just our pride and joy. She's my second shooter in the making.
Duo in the making.
Yes,
I can see that.
So we call her TK, and her photography name is TK-tography.
I like
She came up with that on her own, so I'm like, girl, I hear ya. Yeah,
TK.
TK-tography. So, anyway.
Documentary coming soon.
Yes. Yes. And she is like the ultimate hype girl. Like, it's so funny just seeing her try to hype somebody else up, and I'm like, well, she learned that. So I mean,
I like hearing that.
So it's fun. But anyways, I mean, I shoot weddings and seniors and engagements and babies and just about all of it, and love it all. You know, it's something that I absolutely enjoy doing, and you know, getting to shoot everybody's milestones and, you know, important days and things that they'll remember forever. You know, it fills me up.
Yeah.
You know, and I love to be able to give those people their memories, and capture them, and, you know, just the little things, all these little details that are so important to people, you know, giving that to them for them to have is so important.
When you work with videographers, do they work? They say when we work together, like most of the stuff we did, we was doing it all together. Like I'll probably step in and just do a pose, and you'll do your poses. Like most videographers, do they work with you in that sense? Like, or do they want to tuck them away? Like, do you have that problem?
Sometimes. I'll say you were wonderful. I mean, I felt like we worked very well together. Just because I do like to get those movements and
made it very easy
and not so stiff. Of course, I got to get some of the portraits, you know, the real, but I've had, you know, some that they're like, I want to take them away, and I'm like, you could have been shooting this the whole time because they keep them moving right.
Yeah, you can get extra that way.
So I mean, I think it's just like a personality type thing as far, and you know, but yes, I have had some videographers that want to go and do their own thing, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But for me, as far as, you know, a timeline standpoint and stuff like that,
you gotta be aware of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which that's what I really appreciated the day that we worked together. You were like, I'll be behind you. You just don't even worry. And like, I never had to worry ever about, you know, you being, I hate to say this, in my way, but you know, like, we're taking stills and you're taking video.
It's different.
So I'm having to make sure I get that moment at the perfect moment, as where, you know, you can kind of cut it. And I feel like that may sometimes be the divide between video and photo. And I try to look at it both sides. Like, I know this is what you need to get, and I know what I need to get, but sometimes I feel like video side doesn't really understand that.
You gotta be considerate.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to be.
But like, I had a wedding, and you know, the video camera was like right here, almost like walking in the aisle, and I was like, I was like, can you kind of like move that, because you know
they had it on the like tripod,
yeah, and I was like, can you kind of like move that over, because like the bride's not gonna want that in her shot, and like, you know, you just got to think about things like that. I always try to think of, if I was the bride, like, would I want this in my walking down, you know? And I totally understand, like, you want to get your angle and stuff like that, but like, there's so much more that so much more as a whole that we all have to. That's right.
Especially like for instance, the ceremony.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole spear from the side, the aisle. Right. Like, sometimes behind, you know, in a certain sense, if you got that room back there, but it's a whole spear, and that's why I value when I work on weddings, make sure that photographer is not stressing, because y'all have a lot on your plate, because y'all been planning the timeline. Mm-hmm. For the most part, y'all gonna be there all day. Like some of my days, I'll be there just the ceremony reception. I don't want to come in and be, you know, make it like, God, it was straight until he came, you know.
No, you were great. No.
But I always try to make sure, like, just communicate. Like,
that's right.
I have met photographers where it's like, okay, I hope I don't ever meet them again. But I make sure, like, I communicate with them.
That's right.
And it makes it easy that day. It makes it completely easy. Just letting them know, like, okay, what you think about this?
That's right.
Or like, how you gonna do this? And just me by talking to them, I understand, like, okay, they might jump right there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I be doing, just to see how you are, who you are. And for the most part, that's why I've been making a lot of photographer friends, because they genuine people, for one, and they understand like our needs too.
That's right.
And like I said, when we communicate, it just makes the job so much easier.
It did.
So much and funner, honestly.
Yeah.
I had one of my old friends come by, and he was like, "Man, you been having too much fun at these weddings."
It is fun.
It is.
When you start meeting people in this industry, I mean, I have, especially like other photographers, like some of my best friends are other photographers, and I love getting, to go in second shoot with them, because there's no pressure, and I love to second shoot. It's so much fun. But and have them come with me, like we get to spend time. But like I have met some of the most amazing people in this industry, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, it's awesome. Like, buddies. And we're all creative. Yeah. And like, we're all creative, and I love to like pick my friends' brains. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, should I be doing this? Like, should I be shooting like this? And they're like, yeah. And one thing that I learned when I first, well, it really wasn't when I first started, but just, lately, I stayed so worried about getting the perfect photo that I lost sight of how truly beautiful a photo can be if you think outside the box. It doesn't have to be a straight on photo.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at that reflection, or let's look at this angle. Everything is just not on a plane. Everything is, all the way around.
It's different angles.
That's right. That's right.
Every photo, yeah.
And I really think that kind of took it to the next level for me.
Yeah, once you understood that.
That's right. And that it doesn't all have to be just perfect. Like, you can be so perfectly imperfect and have the coolest things come from it.
Quote from Amanda. I like that. That's a quote from Amanda.
Thank you. But I mean, I love doing this, and I love getting to, shoot weddings and be a part of people's weddings, and it brings me so much joy that people would even consider me wanting to shoot their weddings and any other kind of photo for them.
And I want to ask this actually before I ask I have two questions.
Okay.
I want to ask this question, like, what do you want your brides to know about you? Like, of course, let's say they knew, and what would you want them to know about you? Like, the type of your character. If that makes I
want them to know that I am there for them, that I will be your absolute biggest hype girl ever. And that they're going to get some awesome photos and some beautiful photos. And if they would just, if you'll just humor me, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy, and I am a little crazy. But, if you'll just give me a chance, we can make something beautiful for your day. You know.
But yeah, I mean, it's I wanted to ask that because, you know, a lot of people just, you know, they just think we just take photos. But like, man, it's a character. You have to build your character to get to the point that where you at.
There's so much more to it than clicking a button.
Yeah, way more.
You know, I've had people before and they're like, that is so not a hard job. And I'm like,
you not just a photographer, you everything else. Like,
it is hard. It is a hard job. I love it, but it is a lot of hard work. And there's a lot that goes into it. You know, there's, you know, the networking, the, you know,
mental, your mental state, you will be drained.
That's right.
Completely drained.
And, you know, I'm trying to work, you know, I literally sit usually about an hour or two every morning talking to people and sitting in front of a calendar before I even start editing, just to try to make everyone fit and, like, you know, doing that. And then we've got the editing part of it. And then, you know, you have the actual going and the going and doing is the funnest part.
It really is.
And the people that you get to meet, I love it. Like, you know, sometimes my sessions are 30, 45 minutes to an hour long, but they're usually longer because, hello, I never shut up. But I genuinely love getting to meet these people that I'm photographing because they are the coolest people ever. And there's something to learn from everyone. And I learn something new every day. And it is so cool, like, because everybody has a story to tell, and I want to take pictures of it, you know?
I love it.
But it's so fun. But yeah, I mean, there's so much more to it than clicking a button. And if my husband ever wants to get me real fired up, he's like, I don't know why you're tired. You've just been clicking a button all day. And I'm like, boy, those are fighting words, and he knows it. And he'll just kind of laugh. And I'm like,
because, you know, they never had been behind it.
That's right.
Going back to editing it.
That's right.
Well, let alone planning it.
That's right.
Because I even forget, like, man, this stuff is happening because of me. You know, it's
right.
You're not relying on nothing else. Like, it's all happening because I put the game plan in and we, you know, scheduled it.
Yeah.
And then once we got scheduled it and done it, we got to go edit and make it look a certain way. So, like, it's all on you to make it look a certain way.
I actually, you know, my husband just Brian, he never really understood why I was just so tired after weddings. Well, I was like, how about you come along with me one day? So I had like a little 4-hour wedding. It was real small. And I was like, come with me. I just want you to see me work. And I want you to see, like, what all actually goes into a day with me. And he was like, okay. Well, he is the type, like, up at 4:50 every morning.
Oh, wow.
Like, he is very, very hard worker. And, like, you know, so he went to the little 4-hour wedding. Okay. Those are not normal weddings.
Really
usually they're from 6 to 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
And then, you know, driving home. So he went with me and he shot that day. Well, then the next morning he slept till 10 o'clock. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm just so tired. And I was like, wow, you should be fine. You didn't do anything but click a button, you know? So I always kind of rag him about that. And he was like, he said, I see now. And I'm like, I know, like, you just don't realize. I mean, I get probably 10,000 or more steps a wedding. Yeah. You know, if not more, that's 5 miles, you know. But anyways.
But yeah, it is, because I know after a wedding, I have to take a day off. Like a full day?
I have to. Usually, I don't like shooting a day after a wedding, but I do, but I don't love it. I have wedding hangover. I mean, I always just say I have a wedding hangover. And I'm like, without ever drinking a sip of alcohol, like, I have a hangover because, like, my body. And when I get home from a wedding, Brian usually always has me an hot Epsom salt bath waiting for me, because I just have to soak while all my pictures are, like, uploading on my camera. I'm, like, soaking. He's like, are you good? I'm like, yes. The last wedding, he was like, "I've already got it run. Just come and get it."
Yo,
And I was like, "Thank you."
I like that. MVP.
So that's
I
like my
that.
like wind down. But yeah, man, your body just. Whew.
Spe-
I mean, like you're always in a lunge. You know, like you're always lunging. Always. I mean, they're up, down, like this. It's a lot of work on your body. So. And people just don't understand that. Like,
not at all.
I wish more people did understand,
Not
like, how much we really do. You know,
like all the movement, even like
that's right.
on the video side, like you seen.
I know.
I put it in the wagon, but like normally I did all that by myself. You seen I had my younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
And man, he have no idea how easy it made it for me.
Yeah.
Not because I had to make sure, you know, nobody trying to take my stuff.
Right.
It's in the corner, and I gotta like. I remember this is always this one segment of the wedding day where, soon we get done with the ceremony, I gotta go set up the reception all on my own, and then that'd be the times where they be, you know, doing the bridals, you know, just the bride and the groom.
Mm-hmm.
That most of the time they do it right at the ceremony.
Right.
And so like I have to debate like, can I do it later or not?
Yeah.
When I was by myself.
That's right.
And most of the time I had to just shoot what I can right there.
Do you have him helping you all the time now?
Yeah.
Good.
Like he's actually trying to learn it now.
Good.
And so I believe.
Well, y'all are a good team. Like y'all have such good personalities. And
Yeah.
y'all were wonderful that day.
Yeah.
So
he's coming along, man. Like he's
good.
young, so he's coming along and yeah.
Well, that's good because you can teach it, you know.
Oh yeah,
you
like
mold
by the
him
time
like you need.
he's you know, he just finished his freshman year of high school.
Okay.
So by the time his senior year, he should be like ready.
That's right.
Because right now he can't drive and nothing. So that's the only part I don't like right now. Like I wish he could drive back because I know you ain't as tired as me.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we come back, he be tuckered out too.
Yeah, I know. Hey, it's until you've done it. People in the wedding industry, I mean, all of us like know.
Yeah.
But
I just thought about it. I got these headphones. I'm gonna show it to you after the episode. It's like these headphones where you can communicate with.
Oh, really?
Me and him got some, and
that is
Amanda,
such a good idea.
I don't care. I spent it was some money in it, but it's probably one of the best investments I spent.
That
for
is
wedding.
such a good idea because like between like me and a second shooter, that's genius.
It's gonna help. I'm talking about from here, it's a stop sign way up the road.
Yeah.
I tested. He was in his room. I could still hear him while I was up the road.
That's really
So,
good.
I'm
just between like just like me being with the bride and her being with the groom because like I feel like during wedding days you spend so much time looking for your other shooter, you know, or like trying to text,
okay?
Right?
They got batteries, or
or trying to like text them, like, "Hey, where are we at?" That is genius. And like a text message, most of the places that I'm shooting,
no service.
There's no service.
No service.
And you know, so that's a good.
It makes you look like a professor too, because we be like,
You're like,
what's going on? They
Over.
put on mute. But I'm finna buy I got 2 right now, but I'm finna buy a 3rd one. So
that's
when I
really
go work
cool.
for a photographer.
That is so cool. Well, I want to go with you.
I promise. I promise you.
And I mean that I never even thought about that, but like that's what they do in like big stores.
Yeah, like movies. Like
yeah.
when they shoot movies and stuff, they have to have that stuff.
Yeah.
And like even churches.
Yeah.
Big churches have it. So yeah, I have to.
That's such a good idea.
I've
learned something new today. I learned something new from somebody every day, and this is it. Like that's
I promise you, because reason I'm talking about, because I know you said you like shooting second shooters a lot, and I promise you that since we done it, it made it so much. It's funner.
Yeah.
Because we can laugh throughout the day too. And
yeah,
I'm definitely. I'll send you a link or something.
Yeah, dude, that would be awesome.
But yeah, definitely, I had to run that by you for sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
For sure. But you was talking about earlier about how it's so many different angles and how you can capture candid moments. I know you definitely had some moments where you had a photo when you can look back at that photo and go back to that moment where it was you can remember every detail of that day or that wedding. And I want you to, if you got a moment or got a photo that that relays that message to you all the time, can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So I had a bride, and I may cry again just even telling it. And she had a little girl that she lost. And it was very important to her that day to have a photo because she had a picture printed of her, and she was like, I really want a good photo. So I started kind of brainstorming, and I really wanted to give her something memorable. Of course, we gave her one of her looking. Well, something caught my eye, and I thought, reflection. So we had her sit down and just, I'm gonna cry. And we gave her a moment to just be with her little girl. And in that moment, I got her reflection in the picture with her baby, and it is one of the most beautiful moments I think I have ever been a part at a wedding. I don't think there was a dry eye in the whole place, but when I took it, I lost it. I mean, and she was like, are you okay? And I was like,
no.
But it was so beautiful, and like it was just like she was sitting there right there with her baby. And I mean, you can't tell me for nothing that her baby had something to do with that. Amazing. It was beautiful. And oh my goodness, like that's one of my most memorable photos that I've taken, because when I look at that, like it just brings me straight back to it. And I mean, it was beautiful, and she was just the sweetest bride.
That what makes it amazing though. Being a photographer, that's kind of the moments you like live for.
Yes.
Honestly, it's not about, making the money. It's like, man, I actually captured that moment, and they will forever have that photo.
That's right.
Forever have it.
Looking back, I've taken pictures of births and stuff like that, and I just get so kind of like, when I'm taking pictures of births, like I've literally just taken the photograph, like the very first photograph of a human, and like of their first breath of life. And like it is so deep, but like, and then there's so many moments that you capture, and you don't, sometimes when you capture them, you don't realize until later how important they are. Just there's so many times that I'm like, oh, that is so good.
But yeah, it's definitely like when I'm a lot younger, like I'm 22, and so when I first started, I didn't understand that aspect in the sense, like I knew it was important, but like filming those moments, they gonna forever have that video. Like I still have one bride, she was like, do you still have our video uploaded or whatnot? And I have to tell her, yeah, I still have it. And I'd be like, gosh, she watches it to this day. I think that was like last year or whatnot. But it didn't hit me till I got older. Like, man, these are very like important moments of their lives that I'm capturing.
They are. I mean, I lost my mother last year, and I'm so thankful that I take so many pictures. I get on people's nerves because I take so many pictures, but I'm so thankful for that. And this is so cliche. It's so cliche, and I know it is when it's right before it comes out of my mouth. But again, you will never regret taking a picture. Never. Especially when you lose somebody that is so close and so near and dear to you. But you'll always regret not taking it. And those pictures are the only things that you'll have left, and photos are so important. And it sounds so terrible coming from a photographer, because they're like, oh, you just want, and I'm like, no, I want you, I truly and genuinely want you to have these memories, because they are so important. I preach it all the time. I preach it, because they are so important. And like, for instance, when I do senior pictures, or really any session, if like a mama or a daddy or anybody that comes with that senior, I always make them take a picture with them. Always.
I like that.
And the moms are always like, no. And I was like, look, and this is what I tell them. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter that you don't have any makeup.
That, yeah.
All that matters is that you are here and you are present with this person. And they appreciate you for being with them. Just take it. I'll put it in black and white. Like, just let me take it. And usually those are some of their favorite pictures. And it was so funny back on Mother's Day this week. I can't tell you how many of those pictures that I've taken at the end of like senior pictures were posted. I was like, I told y'all.
Yeah.
Because, you know, moms never get to get pictures with their babies. So like, those are important.
No,
photos are important. I mean, and you know, if you know, people are always like, oh, you know, of course you're gonna say that you're a photographer, but they are. I mean, until you lose somebody, you just don't understand the caliber of just how important they are. But they are. Take the photo. You will never ever regret it.
And I always growing up, I always struggled with kind of documenting my life. I was the type of person that didn't care for cameras.
Yeah.
Didn't care for taking pictures. But as time go on, like the city where I'm from, 2020 it was a crazy year. Since then, I think it was like a span of 2 years, we had lost so many people in a small town.
Yeah.
Because like this town is so small. Like if I do something in a gas station, my parents are gonna hear about it. You know what I'm saying? That's how small it is. They eventually get to them. But like when those certain people that passed away, it was like, God, I had some of them I had pictures with. And I was same thing. I was like, man, I'm glad I got that picture.
I know.
I'm glad I either took the picture or, and somehow I didn't have nothing with it.
That's right.
And I was like, God, I try to thank the people that gave me lessons. And some of the people that passed away, they gave me lessons. I never did get to say thank you.
Yeah.
It might not have been a big lesson, but I'm a person where like I can learn something from anybody.
That's right.
No matter how small it is. And so like, yeah, when I seen, as they was passing away, I make sure like anybody that had any type of impact on me, if they can come around, or I'll try to get them to see the space like, man, you was a part of it because you got me through a little hump I was in, teenagers, stuff like that. But having them pictures from back in high school, and you got to look back like, man, those are the days that made us. And stuff like that is very important. And that's why
they are important.
When I have brides that come to me and like, you take photos? I'm like, I don't. But I'm finna send you somebody. I'm finna send you somebody that you can rely on for that. And they be like, you sure? I just want video. I'm like, look, you definitely gonna want photos.
That's right.
Like, it was one bride. I wasn't even upset. Like, I was basically telling like, you better book. If you ain't gonna book me, you better book this person.
Yeah.
And she ended up booking her. I was thinking, because I was letting her know like, you gonna regret just
That's right.
Not trying to get pictures. Like,
if you're gonna spend money on anything on your wedding day, spend money on photos because those photos are memories that you will have forever. And I mean, really, cut something, but don't cut the photos and videos.
Just get something.
That's all you're gonna have left of your wedding day.
Because like you said, like wedding day is that day. When it ends, it's gone.
That's right. And I mean, you won't have anything else. The cake's going to be gone. We'll have pictures of the cake, but if you don't have good pictures, then you don't have anything. So photos are important.
For sure.
All the way around, but they're important.
But do you got any questions for me?
So what? Yes, I do. You've been questioning me all day. I'm asking you some
That's why I haven't.
Let me interview you. So what, your space is wonderful, by the way. I'm so impressed by this. Like, literally, I've never been into anything like this. Like, it is so cool. So what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm kidding. But like, what do you want to do?
But my shoulder
because I want to be you when I grow up.
Oh,
this
God.
is so cool.
My shoulder hurting after that. But I mean,
what's your goals?
Like, my end goal is to be able to help people. And honestly, a lot of people don't know this. I want to be able to either whether it's with money or just knowledge. That's why I try to read the books. I try to study as much as I can, try to educate myself. So when somebody come to me, I'm like, look, go look at this or check this out.
You want to be a wise old man.
Because I feel like I always been, since I was young, I cared about people and I always wanted to impact people. And of course, you know, I have no right to tell anybody to do anything, you know, of course. And so I always wanted to impact people. So I think at the end of my life, I wanted to be able to, you know, people can look at me and be like, man, he done this, done that. And, you know, he got the credibility to say, you know, how you should do stuff.
Right.
But overall, just changing somebody's life. You know, I have done that. I've done that in quite a few people. You know, I'm not saying like I'm just wonderful, you know, crazy person, you know, whatever. But I think overall, I want to be able to, like, even for my kids to be like, man, that's my papa. You know, that's my dad.
So well, you've got a good start.
Yeah.
A great start.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it. You know, I was blessed with the opportunity because I could have went to college and I decided not to. And I know if I would have went to college, my life would have been a little bit different. Yeah. You know, not saying it would have been worse or whatnot, but it would have been totally different than what it is now.
That's right.
But overall, for the business, I of course would want to have a team.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, of course, but I would want to have a team where, you know, we be in multiple locations and possibly have one more studio somewhere, maybe in Alabama.
Yeah,
I was thinking we just been chatting about it, and just whenever that time comes, maybe down there in Mobile. Like
that's too far for me.
But maybe that. But you never know.
That's awesome.
You never.
So funny you're saying Mobile. We come back from the beach this week, and we went through Mobile, and I was telling my husband, I was like, it is so beautiful down here.
It is.
It is so pretty. I love it. So that was so weird that you're saying that.
Yeah. A lot of
but
people don't know that.
It is really beautiful down there.
A lot of people don't know that.
Well, cool.
But yeah, like, I mean, that's overall. That's why I see myself. Of course, I want to be able to meet a lot of people. I like people, apparently.
So fun. It's so fun.
It is.
It's so fun.
And I want to build this YouTube and podcast thing. Yeah. Wherever it takes me, because it's a journey. I started really beginning of this year. Yeah. And man, all the stuff I've been learning just in the past, 4 months, it's mind blowing. You know, I was like, man, how the devil gonna figure this out with my other stuff and getting all this situated. And
I mean,
it's
fake
coming
it till you make it, but you're making it, so you don't even have to fake it. I mean, this is awesome.
It's coming. It's definitely coming along for sure. You know, it just. But you know, I'm just like, I don't want to seem like I'm just some special person. Like, oh, he just. Oh, I'm just humble. I'm just like everybody else. Like, I try, I research, I felt like quitting at times. You know. But you know, I always let people know, like, man, I'm just like you. That's like when I go back to the high school, like my high school, they let me come play basketball. Yeah. You know, they don't mind me if I come there, and I just let the kids know, like, dude, I was just like you. I don't think I did was just try a little harder than most folks. And
put in the effort and don't give up.
And don't give up. I just tried. Like I had bumpy roads, but the only thing I did was I just adjusted my steps. That's all I did. Like I have tried working for restaurants, working for dealerships, you know, all kind of stuff. It didn't work. And normally people would have, after that third try, like, okay, this ain't it. But I had a vision, and that's why I preach about, man, getting clarity and figuring, you know, getting that vision for yourself. Because once you get that vision, it's going to help you when you in them ruts to get out of them.
And when you're doing something that I feel like you're truly meant to do, it doesn't feel like you're working.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and it's so cliche, but like, you know, you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Mm-hmm. And it's true. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I don't feel like that, or I feel like that until you really do find something that you truly love, you won't, you know, appreciate that quote, but when you do,
once you get in there and actually do it, you'll see. Because teachers used to say that to us all the time.
I know,
and we was like, okay, yeah. But yeah,
that's right.
I'm the prime example. Like, yeah, that's so true.
It is
so
true. So true.
And
I mean, it's hard work. It is hard work. You know,
but the
reward is
like you gotta think about the regret not doing it. You know,
that's right.
There's gonna be some regret if you don't do it. You're gonna have major regret.
That's right,
for sure. And it's this quote I always say, education, it breeds, it goes, education breeds confidence, confidence breeds hope,
That's right.
hope breeds peace. And so if you just work at those steps, it's just, stuff just falling. It's, and that's a little stoic for you, but yeah, that's where I see myself, and
Cool.
just trying to overall just impact people. Just let them, when they see me, like, oh, I can do it too. Because I like that, because I always try to help people with basketball. I helped many kids when I was playing basketball. I helped them. And now, I remember this one guy, he was a little old thing. He used to always try to play with us. And I'd tell him, like, your time coming. And I taught him how to shoot. And now he's like 6'7".
Oh, wow.
But he played in the championship game and all, like,
but he'll remember you helping him.
I shot his mom's wedding.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like,
there you go.
And shit, like, his mom, like, yeah, my son. No, y'all like, who your son? I'm like, yeah, I know the little guy.
Little guy.
And he was like, he's not little. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so, like, yeah, he remembered me off the bat, and that what makes all of it worth it. All the hard work I put in with that, of course. Like, even with how I impacted some of my teammates, I seen they was horrible at first. Then I remember one point of their career, they was like flourishing 1 point game, and I was like, I almost went to tears because I was their teacher. I taught them practically everything, and they was doing it all in that game together. And so, like, I knew, like, that's something I'm gonna always carry on. Like, I want to be able to educate people and help them get to that plan A and to plan B. I always wanted that. So that's my end goal, honestly.
Well,
so,
you're doing
I hope that explained.
Yes.
I probably went all of them.
No, you didn't. That was perfect.
But yeah, of course, when brides contact you, they have certain questions, and like, what are some questions you would say that they would need to know in order to work with you?
Well, first thing, usually my first question from them is, when's your wedding date and where are you getting married?
Right.
I'll look at my calendar, things like that, make sure that I'm available, hope and pray I'm available. Because I always want to work with a bride that's especially excited to work with me. And then, once we kind of make sure that I'm available, right. We'll talk a little bit. I'll send them my pricing guide, things like that. And if that looks good, then I get them to sign a contract. Okay. And then, we'll look at the financial part of it. And then we'll move forward. After that, I always like to talk to my brides about their day. Kind of what do you have envisioned for your day? Sometimes I'll kind of suggest things because, in this industry, we're doing this every weekend.
Yeah.
And, most of the time, brides aren't doing this every weekend, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, and usually, they've been in weddings, but like they're just not around weddings as much as we are. So, we can offer some input on that. As far as, timelines and, give good suggestions and, let them, make the decision as they want. But, usually have a good long conversation about that. I've met with brides, FaceTimed with them, things like that. Just whatever fits their schedule best.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, we'll go from there. We'll talk a few times before wedding day. Obviously, we'll go into do their engagement shoots. Mm-hmm. Sometimes brides want to do a bridal shoot. If they want to, that way they can get in their dress, do a run of their hair and makeup, things like that. And then, have a beautiful portrait of them beside their wedding cake, which usually goes to the mother of the bride. But it's a good, that bridal portrait time is, a good run through of, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Right. And it'll let you kind of know how long it's going to take you to get ready that day. It's good for the hair and makeup people to kind of, see how long it's going to take them so we can kind of get through the timeline.
Right.
Start building a timeline once that time comes. And then, after, the engagements and the bridal, then we'll start kind of talking about timeline for the wedding day. and there's so many factors that go into that
it's
that
a lot.
timeline.
It's
It is. And sometimes, like, I always try to give, little cushions, which, the wedding we worked at, I always try to give little cushions here and there, just because that's going to give us time if we just get like that spark of, oh my goodness, like I've got, this idea, so we can kind of shoot some more, like, I got this brilliant idea.
I love that, yeah.
And then we're not, sitting around, but, at weddings, there's always going to be a few that are behind or whatever. So that's why we kind of give those cushions, when we start working with the timeline.
Yeah.
So.
And I want to go back to the engagement session. So
if
somebody's booking you, like they talk to you, they, decided their package,
right?
What would you tell them going into the engagement shoot? Like what are the preparations they should take when they go into that?
Getting ready for engagement session, I always tell them, number one, we start looking for location. Like, hey, kind of give me what you're looking for. Give me your inspirations. What do you want out of your engagement session? And then I can kind of start brainstorming. Like, oh, I've got this location, or we can, most of our locations, we're driving down the road and we're like, oh, that's beautiful. This is it. But once they kind of give a vibe that you want to work with, then, we'll start kind of discussing like what they want to wear. My biggest, idea for someone is dress like you normally would. I feel like social media has put such pressure on brides to be something they're not. And that's okay if you want to do that.
Yeah.
But I had a girl one time, and she had never worn high heels before. And she come to her engagement shoot, and she's trying to kind of walk around. And I was like, are you having a hard time, honey? And she was like, I've just never worn heels before. I said, girl, if you don't kick those heels off, like, no, that is not you. And they were beautiful. And the pictures that we got with the high heels were beautiful, but it was just, not her. So, dress for you. Don't dress for anybody else. Don't dress for social media. Dress for yourself and be comfortable.
So you shot the engagement with the girl, the lady with the heels. And so my question is, what do you do to make the brides feel comfortable? Because a lot of people ain't comfortable in front of the camera.
No, I'm not comfortable in front of the camera.
I think most photographers not comfortable in front of the camera.
So my advice for any photographer, hype them up. Like, I have had so many people be like, Amanda, like, you're the biggest hype person, but like, that's so what you gotta do. Like, it is so much fun. So I had one of my little senior girls, and she's so just like meek and mild and just so shy. And I was like, how can I get this sweet little girl to come out of her shell just a little bit? So, I always try to get them to do prompts, like not just really posy. We don't want to look like a robot. Movement. And for you, videographer, you're gonna want movement. Yeah. But get them moving. Make them feel like that they're not posing.
Right. I like that.
Yeah. But then once I finally get a shot that I know is a good shot. Yeah. And I used to not do this, but once you can show someone just how beautiful they are on the back of the camera, just a raw image, you can see that spark in them, and they're like, oh my goodness, I am. And when I am editing, I can see the moment.
That's crazy.
That it happens, and then they just open up, and things just are so much smoother. I try to usually do that at the beginning of the session. Sometimes it takes a little bit. But they finally start getting more comfortable, and then, I really struggled at the beginning when I first started this of how can I get these people, and I really struggled with how to word it. Like, how do I tell somebody that I want them to do this? And shouldn't they know what I'm thinking in my head? Right.
It's a whole language.
So I really tried to think about how to tell these people how to pose. So I kind of like come up with, and I tell everybody this, I'm like, okay, before we even start, I'm going to tell you to do some things. And the sillier it feels today, the better it looks. And then once I tell them something silly to do and they do it, and once I tell y'all to do these prompts and you do it, go all in. Don't hold back. Just go all in and just do it. And then once they see that, it just clicks and they're like, okay, all right, we're gonna be nuzzling our noses and laughing in each other's mouths and ha ha ha, or running and bumping each other's booty. You just really get those good, genuine photos from that real life stuff. And that works.
But like I say,
it's worked for me.
I say definitely. I have firsthand experience that with you at the wedding we worked with together. And I'm gonna touch bases like with my pictures. I've seen that, and like soon you get them to do something weird, and you tell them that, of course, like it's gonna feel weird, but it's gonna probably be your favorite photo out of the whole session. And I tend to do that throughout the session, like just show them, like, no, you're okay. Just look at yourself.
That's right.
And
like you just see it click, and they're like, well, she's not as crazy as she sounds. I'm like, look, it's okay. You can call me crazy, but hey, man, we're going to get some beautiful images out of this, and you're going to love it, and they're just going to look so genuine, and they're you, like you're getting that raw, real you rather than... and that's okay.
It's okay, but it's a lot more, character into it.
That's right.
And I think that's a big job of the photographer, not just taking photos, of course, but like that is the job, but understanding your talent. I call them talent, by the way.
Okay.
But understanding your talent and what makes them, comfortable.
That's right.
And what makes them, in a sense, tick. Like, because like you said, when you make them do certain things and you see that spark in them, they're ready to go. Right. And I think once you got that level, when you get to that level, you practice. To me, in my eyes, you're a professional, because that's hard to do with different types of people.
And really, I mean, it took a long time to learn, kind of that, and it works. And
it does. It really does. Wedding timelines. I know you kind of touched base on it in one of my first questions, but what would you say? Can you explain the importance of a timeline?
Very important.
Because I promise you,
top tier.
I worked with a lot of weddings where they get the timeline just at the end. It's like, okay, I already know what type of wedding this is gonna be.
Yeah. So wedding timelines are good for everybody that's involved in the wedding day, not just the photographers, but everybody. It makes the day run smooth. And when I first started, and I've done some weddings that I didn't do the timeline, which is okay. But you've got to allow more time on certain things. Like, for instance, I always allow 30 minutes for a bride and her mom to get in her dress. And they're like, Amanda, it's not going to take 30 minutes to jump in this dress and zip it up. But there's so many special, magical moments in that time. Number one, the mom and the bride, that's about the only time during the day that mama gets with her little girl.
Yeah.
So usually everybody's out of the room. It's just the mama and just the bride, and they get that special little moment. Usually a gift's exchanged, then some tears shed. Usually tears shed by me. I always cry at every wedding. Always, and it's usually that moment. But mamas, they help get. They're kind of behind the scene people. They are. The bride is always doing a first look with the dad and the groom, but mama's there and she's helping you get ready.
Shout outs to the moms.
That's right. So you get that special moment then. So I always try to give that cushion. And there's other things to go along with that time, which is why I take so long with it. But you got to get your earrings on, your shoes on. There's just a lot that happens in the bride actually getting ready. But going back to like the timeline, I kind of going back to the timeline, I typically start and work backwards, which makes no sense.
Oh, really?
To anyone, I don't think, but me. But I always ask what time ceremony's time is, because I know that usually I want to be, and I don't know if it's an Alabama thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if it happens over here in Mississippi, but everybody gets to weddings about an hour to an hour and a half early in West Alabama.
Really?
Yes, sir, they do.
That's
So
crazy.
I always try to block off an hour before, and that's going to give me time to go and do like the reception area and things like that, and all the guests kind of arriving.
Mhm.
So that way everybody can be tucked away. That gives the bridal party time to rest, relax, freshen up, things like that. After, you know, family and all of the portraits that have been taken throughout the day. So that's I usually try to have everything done about an hour to an hour and a half early before the ceremony starts.
It helps a lot.
It
lot.
does.
Like,
and then if by off chance we might get a little bit of a break there
yeah,
too.
heck yeah.
It usually doesn't happen just because I'm trying to get as much done before then. But yes, timeline is good. That's going to kind of keep everybody knowing what they're doing. And it doesn't have to be, you know, I've been at weddings to where, you know, they were just got to stay on the timeline. And then, you know, just based loosely off of the timeline. And that's okay too. It just depends on who your bride and groom are and the situation. But they're good to have, you know, especially, you know, doing first looks. We can, you know, get that over with, and then do, you know, bridal party, and then we'll tell family to be there a certain time so we can get all of those done and out of the way, because family formals, they are everyone's favorite. They are important.
Yeah.
But I always try to stress to my bride before, pretty much every time I talk to them, especially for the timeline's sake, I always tell my brides to make a family shot list. That way I know that I'm getting all the photos that you want, and that way you know you're getting all the photos that you want, and we're not skipping anybody. I always try to tell her. I actually always hit on that, probably one of the first conversations that I have with my brides. You know, go ahead and start writing that down, because if you wait until the week or the night before your wedding, you're going to miss somebody.
No.
So if you just take a little bit to think about what shots during those family formals are important to you, go ahead and write those down, because what I'll do on that day, I'll have it and I'll go down the list, call them out, and I always try to tell them and kind of stress to it. It is the most stressful part of your entire wedding day. They are very important, but it's stressful.
It is.
And with us having that list, that's going to keep everything, you know, in order. That's going to make, you know, we'll get it done. And I can know that you've got what you want, and you know that you've got what you want, and nothing is skipped. And then that also helps with going back to the timeline, knowing how long I need for that family formal. But it's so funny, because during, like, when we're talking, I know that I said it a minute ago, but I always try to tell my brides, like, look, it's stressful, because it just is, because it's your family, and you're just like, get over here. Well, you know, Uncle Bob will be in the restroom or something like that. So I always try to be like, okay, if y'all will give me like 10 or 15 minutes, and once I call your name, y'all come up here, we'll get it, and then it'll be over and done forever. But these pictures are important to my bride and groom, and they would love for you to be in them. You know, let's get them. But at some point, I always lock eyes with the bride, and she's like giving me the wide eyes, and I'm like, I told you, it's okay, we're almost done. You know, trying to like cheer her through it. But it, you know, there's just so many pictures, and there's so many people, and it's just, that's probably one of the most stressful parts of a wedding day. But once it's over, and you'll be glad that you took the photos. Nobody's ever regretted taking a photo, ever. They've always regretted not taking them. So those are very important.
But even at the ones like at my weddings, like when I see that they have that together, they be less stressful.
Yes. And well, I mean, I almost kind of make it a requirement, just because it's needed. I mean, because I have been to them, and I have shot them way long time ago where they didn't, and it was chaos. I mean, it's chaos with the list, but it's really chaos without. So they are very important to have, and I try to stress that more than twice.
Because even like I said, even the ones I shoot at, when they don't have it, it's just like, oh my God.
And I just feel like you're gonna skip
somebody,
something, and then you'll regret it again. You're never going to regret a photo taken. You'll always regret a photo not taken.
Facts, for sure. And now I want to get into your kind of your editing style, like over the years, how did you just develop your editing style? Like, did you just kept playing with different presets, or just?
I did.
Or just.
So when I first started, I aspired to be a light and airy photographer, and that's so not me.
Really?
No, it's so not. I mean, I wanted to be a light and airy photographer, and I loved that. And the more that I shot and started playing around, I bought the presets and things like that. And then I just kind of made my own thing that worked for me. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of over time tinkered with my settings and what I was comfortable with and what I thought looked good. And then, I just kind of developed what was kind of my time. Signature, But yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, looking back, just even over the past few years, looking back, I was like, oh wow, that's so different than what it is now. But you're trying to find your footing and trying to figure out, what you like and what your style is. And that's okay. I mean, and mine could change tonight.
Yeah, I was going to just ask you that. Like, tell us, like, how would you describe your style now?
Golden, moody, more true to color, rich colors, maybe.
Like that rich.
Yeah, I want it to be timeless. I don't want my style to be really trendy. I can hit on the trendy, but I want something that will age well. And I love all the trendy stuff. It's so fun to do. But I really think that, I wouldn't say moody, but yeah, like maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I seen some of it, and I wouldn't consider it moody. Because I consider moody is like when it's real dark. Like it's trying to set a tone for something totally different.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I asked that because I want you to kind of help the bride understand a little bit about how you like your post-production and how you like, in a sense, like your final edits. Like how do you deliver your final edits? Like, is it online or how long do it normally take you? Stuff, kind of something like that from that aspect, from the bride's standpoint.
So when I go home from a wedding, I have to unwind. I'm so high strung. I'm so high strung and so loud and just everywhere. I have to wind down from a wedding. So typically when I go home, I try to get my bride and groom some sneak peeks that night or even the day after, but it's usually that night because I have got to wind down.
I remember you did that at the wedding.
So typically give them a sneak peek that night, and then post-production, it varies. Usually 6 to 8 weeks is pretty much an industry standard, I would say. And then, as far as delivery, online galleries, and then I even do like thumb drives for them to have. So
yeah, like deliveries, man. I heard like when I go to certain, when I work at weddings, and most of the time some of the bridesmaids, they be already married. And I remember they used to just talk about, I'll never forget this one bride. She told me, she said, I ain't get my wedding photos after a year. I was like, what? And she like, I just got them like last week. I was like, there's no way. It's no way.
I've had weddings, I've had turnaround times be a week when I've had them back to back to back. But usually an industry standard is going to be about 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and I just thought that was crazy. A whole year.
Yeah, they're
like that's crazy.
That is crazy.
You had to be like in a coma or something for like a month. Like,
Right.
what's happening? You know, because I try my best to at least give me about a month or like a month and a half. Or
Right.
you know, in that sense. But
and that's fair. I mean, I think that's fair. You know, being on this side of it, you know, me myself, I mean, I shoot just about every day. Other than weddings, I mean, I'm shooting every weekend, but I'm shooting during the week too. So, I mean, trying to edit and trying to
keep it all together. Then you got your
family.
Right. Personal. That's something I've been
my
learning.
Little 3-year-old that's like, hey mama, let me edit with you. And I'm like, Tanner Kate, that's a really good edit. Thank you. So
that's amazing. But yeah, I wanted to hit, touch bases on that for sure. Just to let them understand that standpoint. Because a lot of people, because they're like, I can't wait, and but I realize some people, they want to know about it.
That's right.
They do want to know about it.
That's right. And I think a good, like I said, practice,
about 6
standard, about 6 to 8 weeks.
And I think that's pretty good too, though.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good. And